First of all, here with his wife Pam, Coach Oscar Lanichuk. Coach Cam Mueller. Coach Matt Newton. And I would like to invite Coaches Mueller and Newton to come forward and introduce the members of the varsity team and present some awards.
First, I would just like to say that personally, it was a real honor to be associated with this team and this program. And a special thanks to all the parents, friends, and family members who really stood behind these young men who played the game for us. And especially thanks to the players those are the guys who got it done on the field for us. So thanks to you guys. First of all, a few young men who contributed to our program in a big way, but not on the football field itself. This first young man made a great contribution both behind the scenes and on game days. He seemed to develop a bit of a following amongst the fans. But did a great job, worked really hard behind the scenes. A lot of jobs that were bestowed upon him weren't the most desirable things, but he did them unselfishly and worked real hard for us. And returning starter for us next year, one of our trainers, Elliot Starnicki. This next young man also contributed a little more behind the scenes than did Elliot, but was there every step of the way. And we did a good thing in adding these two managers to our program that helped us out a lot with a lot of things that the coaches didn't have necessarily the time nor inclination to do. This guy did a great job for us. Also, John Montgomery.
This next guy doesn't have a very fun job necessarily. Sometimes when you're trying to hand water to big sweaty guys that are angry and tired, it's not always the funnest thing in the world to do. But he did a good job doing it, and he was always there to give you that high five all the time, and I appreciated that, especially before the game and after. Patrick Lowry. Thomas Flood here? I don't think I saw him. But he was the ball boy this year. He did a great job too. I think sometimes we became a bigger fan than ball boy, but he did a good job as well. So we'll get his award to him. I want to say before I introduce the varsity players, again, it's kind of been the theme, but I want to reiterate as well what a joy it's been working with you young men and being a part of something special here at UND, the rebuilding process of the football team. And I myself didn't expect it to go quite this quickly, but I'm happy it is. And to you JV players and freshman players, big shoes to fill. But if what you guys did on your levels is any indication of what's to come, we've got a bright, bright future, so I'm excited about that. The only disappointing thing for me is now I'm not in the school. My first job isn't in the school, so I don't get to leave at 2:30 anymore and get down to school. So what I do is I just go home instead. It's a little bit easier. This first player, we had an injury right before our first scrimmage of the year, and we had to kind of do some retooling, reshuffling on the offensive line. We weren't sure where we wanted to put some people, who to move and who to keep in their original position. We decided to take this player, move him to center, and he did an unbelievable job for us. The center a lot of times has got to know what everybody's doing on every given play. So if anyone's not sure, they can talk to the center and he'll know what they're doing. He's a smart player. He's got great feet. And he's got a bright, bright future. Matt Bama.
This next player I would describe as a bit of a paradox, in that on one hand, this guy would be the first guy to come up, give you a hug, joke around, sometimes talk in a high voice. He wears glasses, and his football goggles at some point in the season lost one of the lenses. You might not notice this from the stands, but it's pretty funny when you see it up close. He's got one lens in these goggles. And on the other hand, this guy was a football player who physically devastated his opponents on a consistent basis. A senior lineman, number 66, Eric Berry.
This next player was a junior this year, and the thing that I remember most about this guy was most of his playing time came in practice, where he got a chance to step up and do some good things and show some things in practice. And on occasion, this is the one player that probably stood out with the most spectacular plays in practice. The big hits where you turn your head going, what was that? And it was this kid lighting somebody up on defense, making a big pick or something like that, or making a great reception. I'm glad he's a junior. He learned a lot this year, and he's going to be coming back next year, Tracy Clark.
This next player was a junior offensive lineman who showed us a lot of potential this year. We're expecting big things out of this young man for next year, and Coach Merchant has proclaimed that he's going to take this guy under his wing and see to it that he's a football player. And I have no doubt this young man will get it done. An offensive tackle, Jermaine Copley.
Every year, as you know, we always have like the maroon and yellow scrimmage, and coaches have fun kind of drafting our teams and having first-round draft picks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this player we got on our team, and the thing that I liked about him, the first thing I saw was he was a competitor. He loved to compete, and whenever I saw him in the huddle, he wanted to get the job done, and whatever was asked of him, he would do it. And I love to see kind of the fire in his eyes in practice. It was disappointing to see him go down about halfway through the season. He wasn't able to recover and play anymore this year. But he can play next year. And Jermaine Creary has got a good future as well.
This next player I would describe without a doubt as one of our more charismatic individuals on the team. He's also one heck of a football player. He was sidelined early with an injury, unfortunately, this year, but really came on and helped us a lot defensively and on offense as well. Possessor of blazing speed, and he's going to have a chance to get the ball a little more next year. Desmond Crenshaw.
next player got rid of the soccer cleats and exchanged it for football cleats, and I'm glad he did. He's somewhere around 6'5" or 6'6", and he poses a pretty big target for a quarterback, which is exciting because next year he's got to fill some big shoes. This year, like I said, it was his first year. Every single day, every single practice, every single moment, he got better. And by the end of the year, I mean, we had 4 extra weeks in the postseason. You could see him getting better every single day, and it was exciting. I don't want to keep going back and saying this guy's got a great future, but this guy really does, and the coaching staff and everyone's excited about it. Drew to 4. This next player, the first thing I think about is work ethic. He busted his tail all the time, never asked questions. Whatever you want me to do, coach, I'll do it. Wherever you want me to play, I'll play it. He just always wanted to get better. And we talked over the summertime, passing leagues, things like that. He came out to a camp that I was coaching in Troy this year, busted his butt. He was kind of the showcase of the entire camp. All the other coaches from all the schools, Troy High School, Troy Athens, they're all oohing and ahhing about this guy, trying to get him to transfer to their school. And I said, no, he's untouchable. And it was a pleasure coaching him. I'm really disappointed he's going to leave. He's a great kid, James Fields.
The next player to be introduced is a great example of what you can accomplish if you really set your mind to it. This guy came out for our team last year after, again, being a soccer player, as some of our guys have been in the past, and he spent the majority of the year playing for the JV team. This year, he was one of our best players on both sides of the ball, and it didn't just happen by accident. This guy was arguably one of our most dedicated guys on the entire team throughout the offseason in the weight room. You could count on him being there, working hard, and he made himself one heck of a player this year. He's a tight end and an outside linebacker, Jordan Fields.
Last spring, we started, Coach Merchant implemented our early bird workouts, as you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with. And, I saw a lot of new faces, guys that hadn't played football before. Or I hadn't seen around, of course, I'm not, like I said, around the school, but I hadn't seen some of these new kids. A couple of them stood out, but this one really stood out. He was the first one, the very first person I asked about. Who is that kid? He looks like a player. He looks like he can help us. And sure enough, he really stepped up big time this year. He's a big kid, and he's athletic as well. So that bodes well for the future because towards the end of the season, he was one of the better players on the defensive side of the football, Leon Gawuga.
This next player was a player who started for part of the year last year and for most of the year when he was healthy this year. One of our leading tacklers and a player we look to really lead us next year and step up to the forefront of our team next year, Ray Gillis.
This next player is someone that you love on your football team. He does everything. He plays special teams. He ran our scout tailback every single time. Scout tailback isn't necessarily the funnest position on the football team, but it's something that's well needed for any good team, any defensive team to get better. He popped right up after even the best of hits. He made great plays on special teams all year long, and I remember busting off a 35-yard touchdown run. That's my memory of Frankie Antonio Green.
next young man did a little bit of everything for us over the past 2 years. Played as a starting cornerback, played a lot of wide receiver for us, played on special teams, and probably delivered one of the best lines of the season during a film session. When the coach was asking him what happened on this play, his explanation was, "Just a great play, Coach." Mark Hammer.
This next player sometimes gets picked on by some of his teammates and friends every once in a while. But, you know, the opposing teams, he picks on them. And I'm glad he did it for us because he had a great senior year. I mean, he really did. After the, what I remember most is the first scrimmage against Seaholm. The coaches were asking, who is that kid? Because he was making plays all over the place, sacking quarterback, running people down from behind. And he went on to have a great year. Kyle Jackson.
This next young man was a senior who unfortunately came out for football just his first time this year. Was an extremely hard worker, was unfortunately sidelined by some injuries, but contributed early on special teams and as a defensive back, Robert Johnson.
This next player is disappointing. I'm sure he's disappointed because he spent most of the year banged up a little bit and wasn't able to get as much playing time as he probably could have, especially as a returning starter from the year before. Like I said, it's too bad it's not going to be able to have a chance to make up for it next year. Victor Johnson. Next player is another player that was at that Troy camp as well, and he made a tough decision to move from quarterback to wide receiver. But you know, when you're looking at team players, he is the consummate team player, I would say. You know, sacrificing what he wants to do for what is best for the team. And I tell you what, it really was best for the team. He made some great plays and really stepped up to be our go-to receiver throughout much of the year. And I felt awful for him when he couldn't be there for the last 2 games when he hurt himself in practice. I know it must have hurt him inside, not being able to play against the Warriors, his old school before he transferred to UD. Patrick Judge.
Toughness would be a word I would use to describe this next kid. Unfortunately, he was sidelined with an injury prior to our season starting. Last year he started for us in the offensive line, was slated for that again, and his toughness is what's going to make him a starter again next year for us on the offensive line. Aaron King.
This next player is a football player. I mean, a true football player. I don't think he realized it until this year when he was coached to come out for the football team. He has a non-stop engine. His motor is always running. And I'm not talking about his mouth or anything like that, but his legs are always moving. He's always giving 110% in sprints, in practice, and whatever we're doing, he gives it everything he has. Every last bit of energy he has in his body, he gives it all. And I'll tell you what, the thing I think about is, I think he's thinking about playing in college at the next level. I'm excited to see his potential in 4 years where he finishes up, because he's got a bright future if he wants to keep going. Ben Macarella.
This next young man was a player who made his biggest contributions during practice. And you can often judge a scout team player's effectiveness by how much the starters are getting yelled at. And this kid certainly caused some of the starters to be yelled at quite a bit and pushed those guys to be a lot better on our scout team. Mike Malley.
it doesn't seem long ago when I remember, you may remember back to the Notre Dame prep game. They were coming back a little bit on us, and we had the ball late, kind of trying to run out the clock. And they called a timeout to stop the clock when it was, the mercy rule should have been put on. And after that timeout, Coach Merchant gave me the call, throw the football. So of course we did. As a completion down the 1-yard line, Dennis Morey.
You might have noticed this next young man in some of our playoff games carrying the ball a few times. Managed to get in the end zone a few times. Really carried our team down the stretch in our most important games and saved really his best football for when it counted most. Our tailback, number 27, Robert Perkins.
I don't know what this player did in the summertime, and I don't think I care to know, but I tell you what, 2 days weren't enough for him. It wasn't enough workout. We didn't push him hard enough. So every day when we go in and break down film, he'd be out there doing his 3, 4, 5 miles around the track again because we didn't push him hard enough. So, we may have to adjust that next year because it obviously wasn't difficult enough. But the thing I also remember about this player is that he had some outstanding practices, some big hits on people during practice. And I remember the Divine Child Week where he brought out all his Divine Child paraphernalia, and he took a beating that week, but that's beside the point. Chris Bassani.
This next young man, for his position, was one of our faster players on the team, and as such, pushed some of the bigger guys to run a little harder. Worked hard in practice, and will have a good chance to contribute for us next year. Brandon Porwall.
This next player's game time came pretty much during the week, but he's always working hard, always stepping in on scout team whenever he could to get plays in, and making our entire team better because he worked hard on every single play. And he's got an outstanding attitude. Ashley Price.
The next youngster bears the distinction of being the only sophomore who was a member of our team throughout the entire season. He started for us at corner for the entire year and really showed a lot of improvement throughout the year. Made some big plays for us down the stretch. I personally would kid him quite a bit about taking away his letter, not giving him a letter if he didn't start making some plays, get some interceptions, and he delivered. Had a touchdown on a return against Grosse Pointe North, and I'm pretty glad this guy's going to be back for 2 more years. Sean Rowland.
One of our first two-a-day practices, our first offensive two-a-day practice, I was assigned with the quarterbacks, working on three of them and working on technique, things like that. This big kid walks over to me and says, "Coach, what are you doing over here?" "We're working with the quarterbacks." Let me try that. And I'm thinking, this kid's too big to be a quarterback. And of course he was. We eventually moved him. But he's willing. It just kind of summarized that he's willing to do whatever he wants to play. And the thing that I liked about him especially is that he knows a lot about the game of football. If you talk to him, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the game of football. Jordan Segee. I got to go back in time 1 year to when this player was a sophomore. he took a hit by a kid that's now playing in college, and it was a pretty good hit, I'd say. You know, he didn't get up right away. It's kind of an awakening because he was paying for the starting fullback job as a sophomore on varsity, and at that point it wasn't quite time for him. But this year was his time, and he stepped up, and he was a player, big-time player for us. Instead of being knocked to the ground, he was a guy knocking people to the ground. Coming back for another year, Billy Sharp.
As a returning starter at linebacker, this young man emerged as one of the leaders of our team, and certainly one of the leaders of our defense. He also exhibited a lot of toughness in the fact that he had knee surgery right in the middle of the season, missed a game, and then was back at it, couldn't keep him out. And as a coach, that's something you love, a kid you cannot keep off the field. And our defense was a lot better when he's on the field, and he'll be back on the field next year. Brad Shelton.
This next player, I think, is one of the team favorites. He seemed to always crack a joke at the right time. Guys were always laughing. You know, guys right next to him are the ones getting yelled at because he just cracked a joke. Everyone else around him was laughing, and he's got the straight face. He busted his butt all year long in practice, you can't say enough about guys that give it everything they have in practice, because he doesn't necessarily get the glory on Friday night or Saturday night, but he's every bit as deserving. Jeff Shelton.
You may have heard of a little thing called a Raider that's become associated with our program. If you're not sure what it is, this might be the guy to inform you about it. He's a great kid, but he seemed to find himself in the wrong place at the wrong time on a few occasions. Did a great job for us as a senior defensive back and wide receiver, Ryan Sledge.
This player, I think, he finally got healthy towards the end of the year. I think he didn't let on, but he was pretty banged up throughout the entire year. Kind of got off to a bad start when he broke his foot before two-a-days, and I don't really think he ever got completely healthy, but he never said anything. He played through it. He played through pain. I know he's in a lot of pain. But this is a guy we're counting on to anchor our offensive line next year. He's going to be one of the strongest kids on the team, and he's a leader. His name is Jesuit. This next player is a pretty vocal leader. I guess is a nice way of putting it. He's a coach on the field. He really is. He leads by example, but he gets the best out of the rest of his teammates. He's a guy that, this is how you want to be like for the younger players. It's a good role model to look up to in the classroom and on the field. And I'll tell you what, he's a hell of a football player, Mike Tate.
This next player was a two-year starter for us on the offensive line. Really came into his own and learned how to play his best football on a consistent basis down the stretch for us in the playoffs and towards the end of the regular season. Was also one of our most dedicated guys in the weight room and one of our more cerebral players, but also learned how to channel some of that brain power towards aggression against opponents. Aaron Taylor.
Every once in a while, the coaching staff has a couple of little side bets, a bet of Coke or something like that, a little pop, on different things. And this one is, the bet this was, who's going to be the next Jordan Fields? The guy that busts his butt, and when he's a senior, is someone that you got to count for and you got to reckon with. And this is the odds-on favorite probably right now. He busted his butt. He's a tireless worker, and he's got a lot of future in the game of football. Ini Udo Inyang.
This next player was another who was hit with the injury bug early on in the season, but he never hung up the towel. He always had a smile on his face. He was out of practice. He began running with the team as he came closer to playing again, and once his hand was ready to go, was helping us out on the defensive line. Craig Yuki.
The thing I think about with this player, this young man, is he loves everything that football represents. I think he loves the contact, but most of all, he loves the camaraderie, being a part of something special. And of course, we have something real special here. I always notice he wears his leather jacket with pride, and he should, because he's a member of a truly outstanding football team, and he's a big part of that. He busted his butt all year long, never complained about anything, and was one of those guys you could count on to lead the scout team. James Vogt.
This next player was another one of our seniors who had only came up for the team this year. Had a lot of intensity, worked hard, and showed a burning desire to win, and managed to improve throughout the season despite being injured for part of that time. James Walls.
They say that when the games on the line are actually in the biggest games of the year, the best players step to the forefront. And we were playing for a league championship against the boys in blue, and this player was asked to step it up defensively for us. And he responded with probably the best football game on that from any defensive player that game. He made some big hits all game long. He was always around the football, and he stepped up in the biggest game of the year at that time. Joe Ward.
As a coach, you make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes those are pointed out to you. Occasionally, you do something right. With this player, we, as a staff, did something right. We moved him from a receiver to our quarterback this year. And if you went to any games, you could tell that was pretty instrumental to our success. We were fortunate enough to attend the All-State Dream Team Banquet last night, honoring this player. And it was a real pleasure to be around this guy, Shanti Watson.
This next player was always asking me, Coach, what do I need to do to play more? Where do I need to improve? Where do I need to get better so I can play more? He always wanted to be out there with the rock in his hand, so to speak. And he had a great attitude. You wish other kids would come up to you and ask, what do I need to do to play? Because that's what I want to do. I don't want to sit. I want to play. I'll do whatever it takes. And that was his attitude. I'll do whatever it takes, Coach. And towards the end of the year, he started getting more and more playing time. He made some big catches in the playoff games for us. Justin Westland.
similar to Justin, who was just introduced, this player also always showed the desire to improve and to work on the things that he needed. He played for us as a guard, tackle, all over the offensive line, and did a nice job for us as a senior. Peter Zora.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Prep Bowl champions, district champions, regional champions, 1999 University of Detroit Jesuit football.
I have two more introductions to make. First is a lovely young woman sitting here at the table who shares something with me. We can't escape him. I get him all day and she gets him in the evening. And during the season, when he's in a good mood, it's great. We haven't talked about what it's like when he's in a bad mood. But I would like to introduce to you someone who I've come to really enjoy knowing, Mrs. Amy Merchant. Someday I'll give you my long version on why coaches' wives deserve a special place in heaven. I guess it was about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, for some unbeknownst reason to me, Brian Miller asked me if I would be part of the search committee for the new football coach. I said, oh my, things are as bad as I always thought they were. If they're coming to me, think about choosing a new coach. I mean, that sort of said it all. Then I was informed that I was supposed to be there as sort of the Jesuit to make sure that we didn't get some screwball. And believe me, after watching some of our candidates, that was not impossible. We talked to 9 people. One man was wonderful, except he had this propensity to hit officials. He threatened to blow one of them up. Another one wanted to outfit his home like a gym. It got a little crazy. Well, we also interviewed some very fine people. And after this young man from Albion College came in and gave a very professional, very forthright, very organized, really kind of scary presentation, he walked out of the room and I looked at the committee. I usually waited and didn't say much right off. I looked at the committee and I said, we better hire him. Because if we don't hire him, we're going to have to play him. And I'd rather have him on our side. I think the committee certainly agreed wholeheartedly with me. And we were blessed with our ability to identify and then to hire Scott Merchant. I think he is an outstanding man. I think he is an outstanding professional educator. And I think he has proven that he's an outstanding coach. And so it's my real pleasure to introduce him to you tonight.
Okay, I'm going to defer right now. We're going to go to the special awards section. We have 8 of these to give out tonight. I know it's 9 o'clock already. We're going to try to hustle up. But when you have 125 guys in the program instead of 83, it takes a little bit longer. So with no further ado, our offensive coordinator, Matt Newton, to introduce our most valuable player on offense.
This was a real tough one. This is one that is voted on by the players. Coaches have some input, maybe 1, 2, or 3 votes if they want. But as you can imagine, it was difficult with the type of offense that we had this year, because whoever was in, whether it was an injured lineman, a different receiver, different running backs, everybody that went into the game helped us big time. And obviously it was evident by the amount of points we put up on the board every single week. We had probably, I would say, in the top 5 offenses in the state of Michigan. That's being conservative. So it's difficult to take away from those 11 guys and single out one player. But that's what we're here to do tonight. And there was 2 guys that we had to put into the top running and think about who's the most deserving of this. The one was the tailback. He ran for 1,852 yards. He scored 23 touchdowns. The stat that I like most about him is he only touched the ball 1 time on a punt return. He only took that one 83 yards for a touchdown, and that was, of course, in the regional or in the state semifinal game. Robert Perkins was a tailback. He had an outstanding year. He had great blocking by the offensive line. Everybody blocked for him, and he makes a lot of things happen on his own as well. He's an outstanding young man and an outstanding running back. Ashanti Watson was our quarterback this year. Like Coach Mueller said, he made the transition from wide out to quarterback this year. It was a great move by Coach Merchant. He threw for almost 1,000 yards. He ran for 1,400 yards. He scored 18 touchdowns. He can flat out take over a game if he wants to, and he did that on several occasions for us this year. So, what do you do in this situation? I think it's kind of obvious. We had to split it. We got 2 co-MVPs this year. Robert.
Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce the most valuable player on defense. The thing that kind of sticks in my mind most about our defense this year was it was a group effort, and I don't know how many of those of you remember the 1970s and the Miami Dolphins, and they kind of had a no-name defense back there, and that's kind of what epitomized our group this year. I didn't think we had any superstars, but we had a lot of guys who played extremely hard and played well together. This also was, because of that, it was difficult to decide who the most valuable player was. We couldn't give it to the whole unit. We played a lot of guys on defense, and that would have been a lot of plaques to get. So we didn't do that. But our offense got a lot of press this year and deservedly so. They did a great job defensively. We did what we had to win. We had a lot of younger kids playing on defense. And the game that sticks in my mind the most is probably De La Salle. When we were struggling a little bit on offense, we turned the ball over 2 times, and then we had a problem with a punt in the first half. And our defense did a great job and stepped up, and we only gave up 14 points in that half. And then we had a little talk at halftime, and in the second half, we went out and proceeded to shut them out in the second half. This young man only played football 2 years, I wish he would have played 4. He got in the weight room. He volunteered basically to be on JV as a junior because he wanted to learn how to play. He put on 25 pounds of muscle in the weight room this year. Ended up being a 2-way starter for us. Has a chance to go on and play college football next year. Great human being also, Jordan Fields.
I had the privilege of working with the special teams this year. And as you know, players, special teams, Coach Merchant always says, if we win 2 parts of the game, whether it's offense or defense, and we win the special teams, we have a good chance to win the game. We weren't going to sneak up on anybody this year on special teams. If you watched this last year, we returned quite a few punts and kickoffs, so teams were prepared for us. And we still managed to get a couple scores in on returns, blocked punt, and made quite a few turnovers. And we were able to turn the game around in a couple cases when either the offense or defense was struggling, help keep our team in the game. Now this one gentleman who I'm going to present this award to was a big part of it. If I turned around and saw he was hurt, I had no idea who to put in for his place on special teams. I mean, he was on every team, he was making plays, and in practice, he was our scout team tailback. Whether he got knocked down or whatever, when I needed him for special teams, he said, okay, coach, I'm ready to go. Perfect example is, he got, one day in practice, he got pretty banged up, and coaches looked at him and said, man, he's just got to sit out, he's got to be able to play on Saturday. So I said, just take it easy on the sprints. Next thing we do, we turn around, and there he is, he's running the sprints. He didn't want to sit out. He said, coach, I'm fine, I can do it. With great honor, I'd like to present Frankie Antonio Green with Special Teams Players.
All right. Besides running the defense, I also work with the linemen, and every time we get into pregame, after we do our drills, we kind of break down, and I get in there and I tell them, and this is the truth, the quarterbacks, receivers, defensive backs, linebackers, those guys get all the ink. They get their pictures in the paper. Ashanti's a superstar, and he takes a lot of ribbon, and Robert, he's pretty flamboyant sometimes, and gets his picture in the paper, and it's those guys get the credit, but the guys up front make the difference. They win and lose football games, and the biggest difference in our team this year, Robert was a great tailback last year, and Ashanti was a great player last year. We had a lot of good players, Vince Alexander, things like that. But the biggest difference in our team this year was our offensive and defensive lines. And anybody who saw us play last year saw quite a few of the maroon and white jerseys getting blown back pretty far. And our linemen made a commitment to the weight room this year and decided that that wasn't going to happen again. And this young man did an outstanding job for us on offense, and he started on defense as well. He was probably the strongest player on the team. Although he didn't like to lift anything that had to do with the lower part of his body. He refused to lift his legs. But he's a character. He was a joy to work with. And I hope he can get a new pair of goggles for next year. For the second year in a row, the most valuable lineman is Eric Berry.
coaches are presented to their position, I must be the improvement coach. If so, we had a pretty good year. When we come from where we were last year to state semifinals, being pretty close to getting to the dome, obviously a lot of good players have improved. And this was a tough award to come up with one single player who improved the most. There were a lot of candidates for this award. And that's a testament to how hard these players worked, how much they dedicated themselves to improving individually and collectively. But the player who was deemed the most improved player this year made quite a transition. He switched positions, and to be honest, everyone on the team or staff was not sure he was going to help us where he moved to. But this guy, through sheer will of his own and a lot of hard work, really helped us become our best receiver this year. And that's a testament to the kind of young man he is. Our leading receiver this year, PJ Judge.
The next award is Kevin Keenan Loyalty Award. Kevin Keenan was a coach that coached myself and many other players back in the late 80s and early 90s. And this award was established in his name because through the years that he coached here, he virtually coached as a volunteer. Never wanted to get paid. He always said put the money back into the program. He helped run the weight room. He was here in the morning, in the evenings, and he was also a great guy to play for, and I was very honored to be able to play for him. This award goes out to a senior who shows dedication not only in the classroom, the field, but in the off season. And this player, the coaching staff always teases Coach Merchant. And we always thought this might have been his long lost son, with the difference of height. We always said there were two peas in a pod. They both didn't want to lose. And this player, that was the one thing he hated. He hated losing. He would do anything it took to win. Whether having to come in and talk to the coaches, talk to the players, get in early, watch film, whatever it took, he did it. And it was a great honor for me to coach him because I've been with him for 4 years now. He stuck it out through the hard times. And now he's come out to be a great player and person, Mike Tate.
I don't know how qualified I am to give this award. I mean, I am public school educated. But this award, the Scholar Athlete Award, it's a great award, especially here at the school that has the academic standards that UD has. It's not like some schools, in blue. I don't want to name names. We just need a heartbeat to get in. So this is really the cream of the crop. Whatever the best of the best is going to win the Scholar Athlete Award. And it goes to the player, not necessarily always with the highest grade point, but that's a big factor. Also, they look at scores, test scores, overall play on the field has an influence on it, but it's mostly to truly is to the Scholar Athlete Award. It's just like the award states. This player did have a 3.6 grade point. He also was the first one to volunteer to help tutor. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. some of the younger guys that might have been struggling in some classes, so we could make sure that everybody was eligible all season long, and we didn't have anybody ineligible all season long, which is a testament to the entire team, to the entire program, which wasn't the case last year. The great thing that I can say about this player is, in this case, not only was he brilliant, but he was also an outstanding football player. Senior Aaron Taylor.
The Coach's Award goes to the player who really exemplifies what every coach would want out of a given player. Now, obviously, when you have a lot of success, when you have a great season, there's a lot of players doing what you want them to do. And we had a lot of guys who really exemplify what a coach would want. They do what they're told, they ask questions, they care about winning, they'll do whatever it takes. They have a great attitude of practice. Obviously, they work hard, and that's what the Coach's Award goes for. Again, several players were deserving of this award, but this one particular player who won this award, I think it's safe to say he's one of our favorites that we've had in our 2 years here at least. Great kid to have on the team, always happy to be at practice and helping the team win. The most unselfish kids I've ever been around. The 1999 Coaches Award is James Fields.
Certainly this team profited by outstanding peer leadership, and I would like to invite the 4 captains of this year's team to come forward, share a few reflections if they choose, and to make an announcement. So James Fields, Robert Perkins, Michael Tate, and Ashanti Watson. Please.
I've been playing football since I was in the 5th grade. It has grown to really be a bigger part of me than almost any other aspect of my life. And to go out the way we did, 10 wins, 3 losses, more wins than I had in my first 3 years combined, was truly a treat for me. It's something I'll never forget. And we captains would like to thank everybody who made that possible. The players, this is a tight team, a lot of good friends on this team, and while we like to play with each other in the locker room or whatnot, I think when it comes down to it, there's not a single person on this team who wouldn't do anything for a fellow teammate. And I think that is something that is really awesome. We'd like to thank all the mothers and fathers and all our parents who came out and did our pregame meals for us. They were excellent. We'd like to thank our coaches. There's no kidding around. Without them, it wouldn't have happened. Coach received Coach of the Year in a lot of papers, as I'm sure most of you know, and every time we'd see that in the paper that day at practice, he would say, well, yeah, but that's an tribute to you. Well, he's correct in that statement. If not for him, there's no doubt we would not have been where we were. So on behalf of the captains and the players, thank you, Coach Merchant, and all of our other coaches. Now Robert Perkins will announce the captains for next year.
It's a pleasure being on this team. Like I said, like Mike said, I was on that team, on this team for 4 years also. I didn't think we were going to win that one game either, because that option thing wasn't working at all. Because I got to know if we're going left or right, it can be stopped. So I'm just glad that Coach came in and did a great job for us. I got to run the ball a little bit more. It seemed like every time when I was a sophomore, I'd get it all the way down to the one, and seniors would take it in. I get a couple of touchdowns under my belt. I thank the coaches, I thank the players. It was great playing football with you. I would never thought that we went this far. I'm just great. I thank God for that. I'm going to introduce the new captains. The first one is Billy Sharp. Okay, yeah. The second one is Brad Sheldon. And the last one, I gave him a nickname. I think the whole team knows his name. Joe Bonner Ward. James Field has some words.
Again, we'd like to thank everybody, especially the coaches. We have a little token that we'd like to give to you guys. But before we give that, I just want to say a couple words. When I first started the season, I made a statement that to the freshmen at the freshman camp that was true. And I said that the reason that I'm out here playing football is for these guys out here. Robert, Shanti, Mark Hammer, PJ, everybody, Lyman, Eric Berry, everybody. I've been knowing these guys, I've been playing with Shanti since 5th grade. I've been playing most of these guys since 9th grade. So as a result, I've developed a love for each and every one of the guys. And I just want to let you know that every time I step on that field, I was doing it for you guys. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and especially coaches, including Shauna. She helped my injury out a lot. So I almost really broke my ankle. So, to you younger guys, you freshmen, I said it once before, start to appreciate each other, get that bond together, so that when you go on the field, you're not only blocking for your teammate, but you're also for your friend. So again, thank you, and have a great night.
If y'all know me, y'all probably know that I don't say much. I just want to take the time to thank the parents for coming out all this season and supporting us, and thank the coaches for all the hard work they put in this year. You know, even though coach might start foaming at the mouth for his head might turn red. But on occasion, a few swear words might come out. We always try to come out and get the job done for them. I just want to say thanks to all of you.
And finally, Coach Merchant.
I have a lot of people to thank, so I'm going to get right to this. I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank especially my wife Amy for putting up with me. She was at all of our games and didn't mind me watching film till 1 o'clock in the morning at home. And thanks for not having a husband around very much during the season. I'd like to thank my father and my father-in-law, the two GMs of the team who are here tonight. My sister-in-law and my mother-in-law are here. Next, I'd like to thank my coaching staff. And we brought in all new guys pretty much when I came in, except for Coach O. And I got some nice awards and everything this year, and I couldn't have done it without these guys. And I told them that when I received it, it was a reflection of our whole coaching staff and our team, not just me. And they put in countless hours throughout the whole year. Those of you who have never coached football have no idea how much time coaches put in. You don't just kind of go from class out onto the field. We script practice, we break down film, we do scouting reports, we go out to scout teams, and the best teams in the state of Michigan, their coaches have stayed together a long time. And I'm hoping 20 years from now, when we've won about 5 state championships, we're all still here then. So thank you guys. I'd like to thank Father Torino, who was our chaplain this year. Did an excellent job. We had mass before every single game, and did a fantastic job with the homilies and relating it to the football team and the life. And thanks for taking that time and for doing this tonight. I'd like to thank Shauna. Did an outstanding job. I've worked with her. Yeah. Definitely was like a member of our coaching staff and had to put up with us. And I've worked with quite a few trainers over the years, and she was by far the best I've ever been around. She would help students, help the players study in the training room. She had to put up with Ashanti 24/7 back there, and she'd drive them home. She would do everything. And if you ever want to see how much she cares, just come in the training room sometime. She goes way beyond the call of duty. So thanks a lot, Sean. You did a great job. Another guy I'd like to thank, who isn't officially our team doctor, but is Dr. Bill Ward. If you could stand up. Anytime we had a player injured, or anytime one of our players forgot to get their physical before practice started, not that we ever spoke about that or anything, Dr. Ward would fit them in and take time out of his schedule and do that. And I really appreciate everything you did for us this year. Thanks a lot. Our managers, you guys did a fabulous job this year. I can't thank you enough. You guys helped us out a ton. Patrick, our water boy, Mr. O'Hare, who teaches at the school. He drove us to the games and did our stats. Thanks for everything you did, Pat. And our ball boy, Tom, who's not here today. I'd like to thank the administration, especially Brian Miller, Father Connell, Father Shannon. Everything we've kind of gone and asked for them to do, they've been willing to do. And I think the support is another reason why we were successful this year. Parents, thanks for everything. You guys are phenomenal. I'd like to give the parents here a round of applause because you deserve it. You have no idea how much we appreciate what you do. I've been to other schools. I've been in crowds and sat and scouted games, and I've heard their fans. I'm not going to mention any schools, but they berate the coaches. They don't support their own players, and all they care about is their own kid. And my family comes to every game, and never once did anybody say anything negative about our coaching staff, about our players. And I just want to thank you because that means an awful lot to me and my family. And also all the dinners, getting your kids to school at 6:15 in the morning so we can do workouts, weightlifting, summer passing leagues. We ask a lot of you. And you guys have done a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Specifically, I'd just like to thank the captain's parents who did a lot of things behind the scenes. Mrs. Perkins, if you could stand up. Mrs. Fields. Mrs. Davis. And also Mr. and Mrs. Watson, of course, back there in the back. Did a lot of things for me that I really didn't have time to deal with, and thanks for all your support. Anybody else I forgot about, I apologize. I tried to write it all down, but I've screwed up before. And as evidenced by that, and getting ready for this banquet, if you guys look at your certificates, you notice that a coach didn't sign your certificate, so bring them back into school and I'll sign them all. I apologize. Finally, I'd like to thank the players. You guys are a special group, especially you seniors. Last year, I didn't really know the seniors very well. I only worked with them for about half a year, and this was really like the first group that I felt was mine. And when I talk about these players, I talk about them. A lot of times I say my kids, and I'm not old enough to be their dad, but I kind of think of them as my family. And the worst part about the season being over wasn't that we lost. It wasn't how we lost. It was that I wasn't going to be able to be with those seniors ever again. And that's tough. They're a special group, and it hurt. It hurt. I was jealous that we didn't have another week together to work together and be together. I look forward every single day to coming to practice and seeing all of our players. And you guys did a phenomenal job. Nobody believed that we could do what we did, but you guys believed in what we did. And I told you, if you get up at 6 in the morning and work out, if you lift weights, if you do these things, you become a champion. And that's what you guys did this year. You guys are champions. Thanks a lot. Finally, I'd like to thank God. I feel that we were very blessed with a lot of things this year, and without Him, none of this would be possible. Personally, I've been involved in football for 17 years now, and 7 as a coach. So I was part of a national championship team in 1994, and this is without a doubt the most fun and most enjoyable season I've ever had. And I just want to thank everybody for that. Part of the reason was because we were like a family. We talk about that a lot, and I have withdrawal already on trying to figure out things to get ready for next year. So I'm also very proud academically how our team did this year. Our grade point average as a team was about 0.2 or 0.3 higher than it was last year, and we talk about that quite a bit too. I just want to thank you for your hard work and your dedication. The thing that impressed me the most this year was you were never satisfied. You could have been satisfied to go 6-3, make the Prep Bowl, win, go to the playoffs. Hey, I made the playoffs. Never happened before. But you didn't do that. You guys took it another step every week, and you never got satisfied. It was never good enough for you, and that's what it takes in life, no matter what you're doing. And there's a lot of great moments. This team definitely took the next step, put our program on the map. Last thing I would just like to leave you with is just a comment that I found in the newspaper today about, some of you know we're in a new division next year with Brother Rice, Catholic Central, De La Salle, and St. Mary's. And said it'll be interesting to see how U of D Jesuit's program adapts to the Central Division. For years, the Cubs didn't win a single league game, and they haven't beaten Brother Rice or Catholic Central in decades. They had a great year going to the state playoffs for the first time in school history, but moving up to play in the Central Division after one winning season presents a monumental challenge. And every year is a challenge, and I don't think anybody in this room is afraid of that challenge. And because of that, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and we have some big shoes to fill for people that are leaving. But our motto next year is going to be Rise to the Challenge, and I'm confident that this team will do that. And I thank you all for coming out tonight. Have a wonderful Christmas, and hopefully next year it's going to be this late, maybe a couple days later, because I'd like to play on Thanksgiving weekend instead of a week short. Thanks to all of you.
Guys, let's join together as we did, the varsity did at the end of every liturgy. And as a closing prayer, pray the prayer for generosity. Lord, teach us to be generous. Teach us to serve you as you deserve. Give and not to count the cost. Fight and not to heed the wounds. Toil and not to seek for rest. Labor and ask for due reward. Say to that of knowing we're doing your will. St. Ignatius, North American martyrs, Our Lady of Victory, and blessed Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, come down on you and stay with you forever. Now go, have a wonderful evening, drive safely, and thank you for coming.